And we are live. My name's JP Berg, and this is Dumb the Wiser. So I'm going to roll solo today. I want to say something about the repressive sanctions in Nova Scotia. It's our nation's first example, really the Western world's first example of a climate change lockdown. It's pretty wild to see the dynamic happening, the exact same thing we all seen happen within the populace during COVID. You have people that just buy the narrative hook, line, and sinker, and they become the enforcement mechanism to impose this narrative. Reasonable people, too, people that have followed me and agree with a lot of my other views. Now, I know you can't have solidarity of thought at all times, but some of the people that came out kind of lending credence to this rationale for locking us down and canceling summer is kind of shocking to me. And you're getting similar arguments from them all. It's very disconcerting. It's like we sincerely learned absolutely nothing from living through the blatant mass formation that occurred during COVID. It's a very similar type of dynamic. It's a mass formation, essentially, formerly known as mass formation psychosis. But yeah, it's just some of the things people are saying in defense of it is in defense of the fire ban. Now, fire bans are not, there's precedents for that. We've had fire bans frequently in the summer when conditions are very dry, and no one's ever argued with that. That's common sense. And if you want to impose some kind of a fine regarding that, I mean, that's absolutely acceptable. I mean, that's reasonable. We've done that before. I'm not totally aligned with that. I'd rather not, but regardless, like that's kind of a reasonable imposition. This is unprecedented. This is the same logic. Let me utilize an analogy to kind of express what this is to me. This is like, well, there's some people that, we just can't really trust. They're very reckless and irresponsible, and they drive very recklessly. So we've had an uptick in the number of accidents. So we've decided to make a sanction on driving your automobiles. You can no longer drive your vehicle to anywhere. We're shutting it down. And then it's the exact same argument. It's just it's utterly ludicrous. There's no ground for them to stand on. And like I say, the most common theme you see, number one, I have to reference the animus that I'm receiving from these people. Like again, lots of these people, like I've been posting about it. I live in Nova Scotia. Was actually on vacation when this was announced. But the majority of the people that are attacking me, it's just the same bullshit. It's, well, it's really dry. You're a moron. And the animus, like I said, they're seething with hatred. It's just shocking to see. And here we are again. And this whole thing is going to play out. It's like we're just these nodes that are reacting to the stimuli that's given to us. And like I said, these people become the enforcement mechanism for these impositions. And it's definitely linked to the whole climate change thing. These are the precedents they're trying to set. Essentially, you look at in general, like if you know anything about climate change, if you've read anything deeper than the mainstream narratives, it's like anthropogenic climate change, man-made climate change is being sensationalized and utilized as a rationale to degrow and deindustrialize Western economies. It's being used as a rationale to implement technocratic totalitarian systems. Like this is a step beyond. And that's why it's garnering so much attention, not just nationally, but internationally. It's because we've never seen this before. And if we accept this, it never stops. Like logically, what makes you think by ignoring this is going to get better? This is going to go away. I'll tell you, this essentially has absolutely nothing to do with this particular burn ban. I mean, we've had the burn ban. And like the dude essentially canceled summer. What about the repercussions economically? We have a large tourism industry in Nova Scotia. We're very reliant on that revenue. Like there's people canceling trips for next year. What about like our image for tourism? This is an authoritarian measure. This is tyrannical. And I don't use those words haphazardly. I'm not trying to be hyperbolous or sensational to emphasize my point. You see, we got some comments here. Jilly Bean Live. Hello, Jilly Bean. Climate change hoax. Indeed. I mean, it's like I said, at the very least, the whole thing is being sensationalized. I believe it's absolutely utterly untrue. But at the very least, it's undeniable that it's being sensationalized as a rationale for the government to implement various agendas. I mean, number one, to degrow and deindustrialize our economy, and number two, to impose these absolutely draconian or repressive measures against the populace. And they want to normalize this. Like, a lot of people are saying they're watching this and they're saying this is some kind of a test run. This is a test run for similar type measures. They're garnering data from this. They're going to see how far they push us. And you know damn well that not just in Canada, but all across the Western world, our governments are utilizing psyops against us and garnering data regarding it. It's pretty wild. So we got here, Canadian for Freedom. The snitch line is very concerning. Has been used, I'm assuming. I mean, I've heard there was some fines that have actually been given out now, but there's definitely people using that snitch line. This is the most demoralizing aspect. Like, if everyone was like kind of on the same page, like, whoa, this is way too much. We do care. It's not some kind of irresponsible, like, fuck everything type of a stance. It's very reasonable. Like, we care about the forest and the potential for forest fires. So, I mean, we're going to abide by your burn bans, and we're going to not smoke in the forest or any forested area. But you can't cancel fishing and hiking and camping and being in the woods. The amount of people that live rurally in Nova Scotia, too. I mean, we have one really big city, the HRM, Halifax. And then the rest are very small. Like, even cities like Sydney and Cape Breton, that's a city. And I mean, it's tiny. There's like 40,000 people. And all on the outskirts of it, it's rural areas. A lot of these people drive all-terrain vehicles, and they have, you know, their lives are very integrated with going into the woods. Like, that's the ultimate one. Like, you can't go into the woods. We forbid you to go into the woods. Who does this guy think he is, Mr. Houston? Like, sincerely, I'm a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen, and I try to do the right thing in every way. I really do. I fail to live up to that standard like most, but I'm a good dude. Like, you know, you got to be able to trust me because I am a tax-paying citizen. You can't just impose these sanctions. Like, it's just wild, man. And again, the people that are pushing for this, like, I have a Facebook account. I keep it relatively small, some friends. And the people that are sharing that rat line and sincerely saying, like, hey, you know, if you see anyone, you have a duty, you have an obligation to rat them out. And that's just how it works, man. That's a mass formation. That's when the people that have bought this narrative are now actively participating in their own subjugation, and they become the enforcement mechanism for this. So, like, social pressure. It's just wild. It truly is. I mean, for instance, every authoritarian, like, it's essentially modus operandi for authoritarian regimes. The Bolsheviks did this. The Stasi in East Berlin was known for employing informants. And I mean, there's a certain amount of the population that can't compete on any other metric beyond compliance. And they've kind of conflated. They've conflated their compliance or their subservience with intelligence. They're more intelligent than me because I think this is fucking tyrannical. That makes them, in their limited purview, in their low resolution interpretation of this, you know, I'm dumb, or I'm reckless, or I don't get it. And it's just, you see that division happen. It's not just concerning. Like, this is really some kind of a test. I'm convinced of that. And I mean, it's just, when you look more broadly at what's occurring everywhere, it's like, what are the odds, for instance, I'm gonna deviate a little bit from the topic here, but what are the odds, for instance, that all of the countries in the Western democracies are adopting the exact same, the identical detrimental policies? These climate change policies that aren't predicated on science. There's a plethora of well-credentialed academics and scientists that entirely disagree with the premises of this. There just is. That whole manufactured consent, their manufactured consensus was a lot of these larger bodies that pay these institutions and pay for these studies. Regardless, I'm not going to refute that. That's a whole different discussion. It's number one, you can't even mention the efficacy of this. Will it work? It's like, well, sure it will. If we have a certain rate of accidents, vehicular accidents that happen annually. If we restrict access to driving, of course that number is going to shrink. But this is a very, very delicate dynamic. It just is. I mean, we want law and order. We don't mind some rules. But I mean, we have to scrutinize people when it comes to our freedoms. And we're so perpetually cucked in Nova Scotia that it's just, I'd have to say, man, it's a very slim majority of the people. The sentiment I'm seeing is against this. It is probably like 40% of the people that I'm encountering. Now, this is anecdotal. This is relative to my individual experience with this in Nova Scotia. But I'd say it's about a 40 to 60 ratio, 60% thinking it's way too much and being kind of concerned, and 40% thinking it's absolutely justified and telling the other 60 they're crazy. But that's going to shift. I mean, I don't know. I don't see how this ends at this point. I see no organized resistance. I see no one even considering disobeying this. And I'll tell you something. This is what they're banking on. And this is where they're garnering their data from. And I know that sounds like that's kind of indicative that I'm under the impression there's this larger thing occurring, and I am. But again, that's secondary to my point today, which I kind of want to stick to, is the egregious nature of these restrictions. There's a certain percentage of the population in Canada that would be willing to subject themselves to any measure if you could provide them with the illusion of security. And they will vehemently attack you if you try to. There's a cognitive dissonance almost in a totally offensive regard when it comes to discussing this with these people. But it's something else. I'm going to check the chat here, guys. So we got Jonathan Bahali. The saddest thing is the response from other Nova Scotians who are brought into this safetyism. I believe it's mostly government workers just protecting their jobs. It's that, man. Honestly, it's probably a little more pernicious than that. It's that same dynamic of mass formation that we've seen occur during COVID and during the anxiety about COVID. Uncertainty, free-floating anxiety, isolation. These are some of the preconditions that must be prevalent within a populace before mass formations have come in from what we've studied of them. And like I said, we just had a great case study to look at. It's just shocking that people are falling right back into this without recognizing the absurdity to it. Now, I know, too, there's more psychological dynamics that are at play here because people will attach their ego to their perceptions, to their positions, And I mean, then you're not arguing with the individual in a constructive regard to kind of arrive at more truth. You're just arguing with an ego. You're arguing with someone who's trying to validate themselves as being right. That's the big aspect to them. And then the social dynamic of these debates being on social media, it makes them just even more vacuous of encounters. And it kind of puts an emphasis or foments the propensity for us to be adversarial with one another. Now, we all know the performative nature of a social media debate, but I mean, seeing it play out relevant to this conversation, which is important. Nova Scotians really need to talk about this, and more broadly, Westerners, because it's all connected in some regard. It's just, again, I'm not going to get into this. I'm going to try to keep topical and not deviate too much, which is my specialty. Tangents are my thing. So what else do we got here? Freeman, at least online, Nova Scotians failing miserably. Your point is perfect. No burning, no cigarettes. Okay, I get that. I can't walk in the woods, and Nova Scotia people are going along. For shame. It's absolutely and utterly shameful. It's like I said, it's like, is that the society we want to live in, where there is zero trust between us and our elected public servants? Where they're like, hey, there's burn hazards out there. It's very dry. There's a drought, so we have a burn ban. And it's like, okay, cool. We've done this before. There's going to be some individuals that violate this. That's inevitable, and we have a fine associated with it. I mean, that's not what anyone's arguing about. Not that I think that's great, but we won't go there. What we're arguing about is the unprecedented nature of the concept of just keeping us prevention. It's like preventionism, like they're going to prevent us from this activity because it might have a detrimental effect to the collective. So the individual is being subjugated to the collective. There's a lot that's going on here. It's immensely dynamic in every way, really. Just gonna pop over here and check more of these. We got another one from Freeman. Perpetually cucked is a brilliant portrayal. It's accurate. I mean, again, I take no pride in this. I wasn't born in Nova Scotia. I was born in Toronto, but I was raised in Nova Scotia since I was a year old, and I've called it my home my entire 42 years. I actually just turned 42 on August 4th. I believe that was when this was announced, the then or the day after. But regardless, less than 48 hours. There's some conspiracy here. I'm going to qualify this as conjecture at this point, but less than 48 hours before this announcement was made from the Houston government, this man was on his social media, or his staffers were on his social media account on X, and they were saying like, "Hey, get out and experience the beauty of Nova Scotia." Uh-oh. I'm dying here, guys. We're having technical difficulties. I got to switch my battery. Give me 2 seconds. I'm such a professional, just a consummate professional. Battery's going dead. The screen's getting darker. But yeah, there's something more to this. Number one, the unprecedented nature of this in general. Like for a premier, for a provincial government to do this, like there's no way that this didn't come from someone above him. And you might think to yourself, if you still believe in liberals and conservatives in Canada, which I don't, but you might say to yourself, well, a conservative wouldn't do this. Like, what's going on? Or the liberal federal government wouldn't be able to influence a conservative provincial government, but the provincial government and the federal government in Canada has nothing to do with one another. They're different political parties. They actually have different names. Provincially, the conservative parties are known as the Progressive Conservatives, which has now been switched on our federal party to just the Conservatives. But it's all bullshit. I mean, these people are implementing an agenda. That's just, if you can't see that at this point, I don't even know if I can have a real conversation with you. But so Mr. Houston was spotted at a barbecue along with Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and a bunch of liberals. And there was a picture that they all posed for. So he makes this post on social media saying, I suggest Nova Scotians get out and enjoy our natural beauty and get out into the woods. I'm paraphrasing on that. And then less than 24 hours later, he's on there saying like, yeah, summer is canceled. No fishing, no hiking, no being in the woods in general, no driving your ATVs. The no fires, we know that. And again, I have to reiterate this point, and I will frequently, like, that's the only argument you're hearing. Like, you're some kind of a fool, or you're irresponsible. Do you not care about forest fires? You're paranoid, conspiratorial. It's like, there is no precedence for this. The vast majority, I don't know the percentages, I regret not looking them up, but the vast majority of our province consists of forests. We're very underdeveloped in Nova Scotia. So, I mean, you're very much restricting and limiting the access of the population based on not trusting us on some level. I mean, that would be the logical conclusion. Like I said, I think there's more nefarious things afoot here. I think that they're garnering data. And the premise of this is ultimately going to be applying this in other regions. So, I mean, you got to go back to the whole climate change thing in general. Like, they're utilizing this broadly, especially Carney. Carney wrote a book called Values, came out a few years ago. And in the book, he elucidates his kind of contempt for capitalism in general. He thinks it's exploitative, all of the typical left-leaning things you generally hear. And then the rest of the book is a meticulous laying out of transitioning free market systems to like commodity, or what he says, human value based systems. So, I mean, to the uninitiated, this might sound benign. This may even sound potentially positive. But I mean, it's just the same old semantical polishing of Marxism. It's the exact same thing. And really it's like now in the modern era, it's not socialism or communism. It's more a hybridized communo-fascism, right? It's essentially the banking, the big business interests that are making the decisions. And this is the way we're being pushed. But our WEF member, who happens to be a central banker and wrote a book on regarding his disdain for capitalism and transitioning our economies into human value based eco-communist systems. He is now our prime minister, and we're experiencing our first climate change lockdown. I'm going to tell you something. We don't let this dissuade us. We let this embolden us. We get organized. We defy this. This is outrageous. We have a duty as citizens to defy this. We don't be dangerous. We never be violent. I never want to be misconstrued. I'm not telling anyone to ever be violent. I'm very much against that. But we have to resist this in some meaningful capacity. We have to have some solidarity regarding this too, because I mean, this will never stop. Authoritarian measures from governments are not something that just go away. You can't ignore this. It just continues to grow. And essentially, like, where does it end? What is next? Like, a lot of people don't realize this, but these are restrictions. They say they're circumstantial depending on how the weather goes, but he has this imposition in until October 15th. It's just phenomenal. Like, I did not see this coming. And it just goes to show that there's so many reasons that these people can now pull out and say, we want to have this authority. Once this is normalized, like, again, what I'm saying is the precedent that this sets is a very, very dangerous one. So these people that are making a case for these measures, I mean, you are genuinely actively participating in your own subjugation. There's no other word for it. And I know you don't see it that way, and you think that we're all foolish or conspiratorial or both. But for me, and I have my own biases, but I don't know how you can't see this. I don't know how you can't correlate this to the exact same dynamic that occurred during COVID. They're playing us against one another. They're playing us off against one another. And that's the modus operandi. Again, with this rat line, like, they set up a line and people are sharing it all over the place. Like, the extent this thing is being shared is truly shocking. And then you see I just want to read some of the comments underneath it. I want to kind of get a sense of how Joe Average is interpreting this. And people are nasty. Like, the people that support this, just like we've seen with COVID, the people that supported the government measures during COVID and that support this canceling of summer, they have this animus that I haven't seen before. Other people are angry too, or passionate, we'll say, would be a more apt adjective. But we're seeing this anger, this seething underlying hatred just come out. And like I said, for me, when I was posting about this, a lot of the people were following me and really criticizing my take on this particular, hey, man, you got really good takes on other things, but you're way off on this, bro. It's like, I just find it demoralizing. I find it shocking. I do apologize. I'm rambling a little bit. When left on my own here, I kind of, I have a tendency of going on tangents and rambling, but this is what we do here at Dumb the Wiser. Nothing is off limits. So we got Canadian for freedom. How we supposed to vacation in Canada if we can't even take a hike? The elbows up are contradicting themselves. Well, that's nothing normal. But yeah, absolutely. There's a tourism industry in Nova Scotia. And don't think this isn't coming to other provinces. We have a conservative provincial government. Tim Houston is a progressive conservative. That's Canada's conservative. Well, it's not really, but that's what they portray themselves as. It's just a massive uniparty, even provincially. They are all in on it together. We're not governed. Like, everything we're seeing, man, all of these, like, these algorithms are just these sophisticated propaganda tools. where the individual kind of becomes the propaganda and we're weaponized against one another. We're being controlled to a really elaborate extent. It's like in Roman times, and I say this a lot, but it's just very appropriate. In Roman times, they utilized bread and circuses to distract the peasantry. And in modernity, it's a very similar conception, but it's a little more pernicious. They've made politics the circus, and we all get political and we follow these issues and we fight with one another. And I mean, it's just they control the opposition. It's pretty much the WWE at this point. Again, I think it's an elaborate performative charade to provide us, the debt-ridden subjects, the indentured subjects of this resource/labor colony, with the illusion of participatory governance, because we don't have it. No matter who we vote for, it just happens, man. We get this as kind of a rationale, and it keeps us distracted. I'm confident of that too. I know that's very sensational, but hey, man, I make a lot of sensational claims. So we got Shitoshi Ape, Real Donald T. First, mass formation on climate or COVID, climate anti-science, decades long, laid the groundwork. All of this was in the cards, man. We're not being governed. This isn't everything we're seeing, all of these negative effects and these detrimental policies. It's not relative to incompetence, well-meaning incompetence. This is an agenda that's being implemented. And our sentiment regarding it is being weaponized against us more broadly. It's a very sophisticated dynamic, but you see it play out all the time. Again, referencing the mass formation. We got here Freeman. In my lifetime, I've seen small L liberals go from the constituency that had personal freedom and government distrust at the top of their bingo card. Now they're deep into the govern me harder message. Yeah. And again, this is the mass formation. I've done a lot of research regarding mass formation. I wrote an article. If anyone wants to check on my profile, there's an article tab. And it's just the way the dynamic happens. When there's something visceral and tangible that we can all point to and look at and say, this is scary. We don't want this to happen. What happens then is the fear. We become hyper susceptible to the solution. So then the solution comes up, well, these repressive draconian measures. It might be, seem bad, but we got to do this. And then the people that actually fall for that reasoning, for that logical fallacy, they start to become the control mechanism to propagate or perpetuate these narratives. And if you don't go along with it, man, they'll rip you to pieces inevitably. That's late stages, but this gets violent. Think of peak COVID. If you had walked into Sobeys and you had no mask on, like people like the mask, you could feel it. It's tangible. Like they're so afraid that's kind of the cognitive dissonance to come. So any challenge to the narrative that they're deriving security from, they will attack you regarding it. And we're seeing it with this, man, and they know this. Again, there's nothing that's just not entirely orchestrated. It's a well-orchestrated agenda being implemented. And we got to wise up, man. Like the fact that people are even arguing the specifics of this, and is it logical? Is it too? It's like, this is insane. Like, I'm shocked that people don't see this. Like I keep saying unprecedented, but it just defies description. They're telling us in the middle of summer, people have traveled all over the world to be here right now, that there's no camping, that there's no fishing, that there's no being in the woods in general for any reason. You ain't go to, like, what if you have to urinate? What if you have to have a pee? You know what I mean? It's like, nope, $25,000 fine. You're ostracized from all of the people that's already under the mass formation. And we're seeing it play out. And man, we got to push hard against this one. We got to push hard in every regard. We got to be peaceful again. I do not want to be misconstrued. This is a very dangerous era we're living in. The next thing that's coming, though, this is kind of a good segue into this. Like, what are the odds, number one, that the Online Harms Act, which is what Canada calls its Orwellian censorship legislation, is the same one that Starmer in the UK released? The exact same name with the same premises. I mean, that's what's coming. I'm going to tell you exactly how this is going to work out. Any slight deviation from the rigid and radical orthodoxy of the ruling class, the progressive orthodoxy, is going to be construed or characterized as mis, dis, and malinformation. any reasonable criticism of their policies, like this one, like these repressive policies that are being imposed on people, that will be construed as hate speech. Just like if you make a criticism in the UK regarding the weaponized mass migration, that's hate speech. You're now, and they will not tolerate dissent. The premise of this, again, it's modus operandi of authoritarian regimes, is they want to make examples of people. That's at the heart of it. Like, they want to scare you because they would rather the efficacy go that way, just a disincentive. No one wants to take this $25,000 fine. I mean, it's atrocious the way we're not being governed, we're being ruled. And again, this is not incompetent policies. These are not, incompetent politicians. These are people implementing an agenda. It's I can't see it any other way than treasonous, and I sincerely believe that. So we're going to check these questions. Let's light a cigarette. I promise I won't throw the butt in the woods. I'm in the city here, so we're safe. Don't call the rat line on me, people. I don't need that shit. I shouldn't joke about it because it is terrifying. It's almost so much so I have to utilize levity, and I have to laugh a little bit at some of it, especially the people's reactions. Because again, the people that are pushing this narrative, there's an underlying animus that just it's crazy to see. It's like they're possessed. They're possessed by this narrative. You can't go into the woods. It's fucking wild. Pardon my vulgarity. I generally try not to, but sometimes I require it for the emphasis. It's a rhetorical tactic, my profanity. Let's see here. This is my friend, MS8719. My dad is just getting hay made this past weekend because it's finally dry enough for hay. I mean, that's a great point because, like, this is part of our climate here. And the burn ban, no one's ever had a problem with. Was it 100% successful? Nothing is. Nothing is. Any rule, like, there's implementation, there's enforcement of it, and there's going to be violations of it. So the thought of that, it's like the potential for mass disaster is so bad that we're just going to repress all of society. I just can't get over the logic. I'll continue to reiterate that in various ways. I'm sorry if I get repetitive here. JP, C2C, there's just not enough Canadians who value freedom. I mean, yeah, I get it, and I'm seeing it. I don't think, like, you got to mention the ideological subversion. Like, we've been conditioned in Canada. The shit we believe, we got it through the curriculum with the critical pedagogy, the Marxism, the anthropogenic climate change narrative. Like, our carbon emissions are, like, that's the biggest one we got. Like, it's been very subtle in its manipulation through our whole lives. I'm 42. I was getting this narrative since I was a child. I read a lot of books. I started with Apocalypse Never by Michael Schellenberger, and it was a good introduction for starting to dispel or deprogram you from this climate change bullshit, because it really is like they utilize anthropogenic climate change and the potential disaster of our behavior as a rationale to degrow and deindustrialize our economies in order to make energy very expensive and limit our lives. Let's look at the carbon tax for a minute. Now, I know Carney repealed that, but it will be reintroduced. Carney's whole thing is carbon. We'll all get an allocation of carbon credits. This is going to be the new system, and one of the aspects it's based upon. And don't take my word for this. I mean, the man wrote a book. It's called Values. I strongly suggest, like, you're probably not going to put the time into reading it, but read some summaries, read some interpretations of it, do some diligence, and be vigilant in vetting some of this stuff. But essentially, we're all going to have an allocation of carbon credits, and the poor peasants can sell our carbon credits to the rich people so they don't experience a reduction in their quality of life. But I mean, let's just look at the carbon tax in a vacuum here for a moment. So you got the premise of it. So the carbon tax was not to do anything regarding helping the environment or anything. It's the premise of it behind it is a gradual acclimation to a lower quality of life. Equity, in every sense, always historically equalizes in a downward trajectory. They don't bring everyone up for equity. They bring everyone down, and that's why it sucks, and it stagnates economies, and it stagnates the human spirit in general. There's so much historical precedence for that. I don't feel it necessary to substantiate that beyond that. But with the carbon tax and the increase in addition economically to everything, they want to make it be too expensive for you to do things. And the gradual increase of it is the gradual acclimation that they expect us. And again, this is a very good analogy. It's the frog slow boiling in a pot. You crank up a pot, man, and you boil that water and you drop a frog in it. It's going to pop out. It's going to be like, that shit's boiling. But if you put a frog in nice lukewarm water and you gradually increase the temperature, the frog acclimates to it to the point where he doesn't realize he's boiling until it's too late. And that's where we're at in Canada. We don't realize it's tyranny, even though people like me and millions of other people have been on social media. We've been on streets. We've been on podcasts. We've been on shows. We've been screaming this from the rooftops. Like, this is communism. This is authoritarianism. It's totalitarianism. It's technocratic in its design too. That's what's coming. I mean, Nova Scotia is seemingly the test ground for the first climate lockdowns. That's the premise, to kind of restrict people from accessing areas. So we're also, a lot of people don't know this. It's not getting near the coverage that it should be getting, but we will be the first province, and as far as I know, the first people in North America that will be having a digital ID. It's rolling out. Our health cards in Nova Scotia will be entirely digitized. I mean, this is it, right? And people will say you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, there's nothing conspiratorial about anything. That's just a pejorative used to kind of discredit people. But there's nothing remotely conspiratorial about this. These people are writing books. They're telling you exactly what they intend to do. Like, exactly how they intend to accomplish their utopianist or dystopian type of ideals. And again, I think a lot of them, like with tyranny, when you study tyrants at any time, like, they don't just feel like they have the right to kind of subjugate you. They feel it's their ethical responsibility to subjugate you. That's the true evil of tyranny. And I mean, that's where we're at, man. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I'm going to check for some questions here. Jilly Bean again. It's a uniparty. It's all a uniparty. It certainly is, in my estimation. The Conservatives and the Liberals in Canada are just, they serve the same master. Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney are two sides of the same central bank coin, which is soon going to be like some kind of stable coin or digitized central banking digitized currency. That's after the digital ID. I mean, we know where we're going. We could see this, but people are still, it's almost like it's not just cognitive dissonance, it's like classic denial. Like, nah, it keeps getting worse. Like, if Nova Scotians don't wake up over this, I mean, I have to move, and I'm very established here and I'm not a wealthy man, but I have to get the fuck out of this province if people are going to accept this, because I know where this goes. Anyone who studied history at any rudimentary level knows where this goes. We have framings for this behavior, and the shift that happens in the population with the ratting on one another. It's like I said earlier, man. It's and I think I might have got this. I'm paraphrasing Michael Malice, but the only metric that mediocre people can compete on, many mediocre people can compete on, is compliance. And they conflate their compliance with something good. So they want to, like, look at me, I'm following the restrictions, and my neighbor, the Johnsons over there, they had a fire last night, or they went into the woods, they went fishing. You know what I mean? It's so absurd that that's where we are, but that's where we are. And they feel obligated to turn it in. So there's this overarching dynamic that occurs, and it's nothing good. And we just seen it with COVID. And yet here we are. I'm getting the same arguments. It's phenomenal to me. Just scrolling down these to find something good to discuss here. Yeah, we're kind of running low. We don't got too many live people. It's funny, man. This is my 5th episode of this, and it's nothing super formal. I've had guests on to discuss topics. I've been on now. This will be my 2nd time just kind of riffing into the camera on my own. But like the first couple episodes, I had 700-800 people watching live. I had over 2,000 on the episodes. And then the last one, it was like right around here, maybe peaked around 150. We got about 205 live right now. It's like, man, and you hate to say it, but like there's no way I'm not being blatantly deboosted. I provide examples of it frequently on my posts, and it is what it is. I mean, at this point, it's like, that's where we're at. Like, you know, I'm still going to do it. It's not going to dissuade me in any regard. So we'll just do it with less people watching. But that's about all I have to say today. We'll cut it a little short. I want to thank you all for watching this. And in all seriousness, like you could smell the authoritarianism presently in Canada and in Nova Scotia particularly. So, I mean, my advice would be don't be discouraged by the stench. Be emboldened, be defiant, and be steadfast in your resolve. This doesn't go away by ignoring it. And if we could find solidarity on anything, I really think it should be this. This is very much too far, and we all know it inherently. We know it objectively. We can't tolerate this. My name's John Paul Berg. This was Dumb the Wiser. Thank you guys for checking it out. Cheers.